Hi everyone and welcome to your daily oracle guidance. The challenge, the magician. Now this card doesn't just speak about the present, but it also speaks about the past, where either you have been someone who embarked on a very profound and extremely transformative spiritual journey in the recent past, like the last couple of years, for example, or you might be someone who has been doing this all throughout this lifetime, and that means absolutely that even in a lot of past lifetimes. And naturally, you have come a very, very long way because the card which precedes the magician is the Fool. So that represents a moment when we were all apprentices, when we were just innocent, ignorant children, but with a very powerful sense of curiosity and an inner calling to do the work and take the journey and the leap of faith and the work necessary to become magicians, to become masters of our own minds. And by becoming masters of our own minds, we already have that infinity symbol on top of our heads because we are already open portals to divine intelligence. It doesn't take that much to connect to divine intelligence. All it takes is a moment of maximum honesty and desire, true authentic soul level desire, and everything else comes afterwards, almost like a miracle. All you need to do is just invite the divine into your life, and surely it is going to start showing up in the most miraculous of ways, where synchronicity is definitely one of the first signs that you're going to receive, and it's going to be one of the most powerful tools where this interconnectedness plays out in your life. Now, the magician speaks about that all of this is a thing of the past because you're already the magician, you're already embodying most of your inner truth, you're already using your psychological power, your gifts. Mind is a really powerful tool already, which you can use in so very many different ways, which maybe just a couple of years ago, even regardless if you were on this path all your life, maybe just a couple of years ago you had no idea that you had so much power locked inside of you. So right now, of course, you're living an extremely unusual, fantastic, magical, almost paranormal chapter of your life when very many things are not really conforming to the laws of physics, to the laws of matter, to the way how life used to be at any other given moment, either in history or in this lifetime. And this isn't a big coincidence. This isn't even that much fated, but basically, if more people on the planet just like you are doing the same thing, well, then isn't everyone's mind just a big portal for the divine intelligence to enter this reality and make it much more quantic, as in susceptible to the rules of quantum physics than usual physics? So the minds of a lot of people are basically pylons, support columns for a very multidimensional reality which is getting more and more real, influential, and obvious for a lot of people, that basically reality is not anymore what it used to be, and it's not even something totally else. It's not like one chapter and then another chapter follows. Well, of course it still is, because everything is a great cycle in the universe, but this is where the next chapter is actually a huge chaos, which no one actually knows how it's gonna look like, because it's basically building and writing itself according to its own inner rules, basically. And among this, you are one of the people, you're one of the architects who are guiding these energies to construct a totally different reality, but the different reality, whatever we are constructing, co-creating together, is not actually like an authentic next chapter, because it is no longer rigid, it is no longer fixed, it is no longer crystallized as unstable. It is not going to be the same thing for everyone as it used to be until this present moment. It's going to be so versatile, so, let me explain it with astrology, so Gemini like, so mutable like. Everyone is going to be experiencing it in the very different manner, and that means different experiences for different people, and where common normality is no longer like something universal, but it rather will depend on how many people exist in your frequency, and only for those people like you is normality going to be the same, while for other groups normality is going to be something totally different, where a lot of programs, maybe divine programs, are going to be playing out at the same time, and then we already have actual expression of multidimensional reality. But after all, this is in shadow position, the challenge, so it represents the shadow expression of the magician, which is, simply said, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So this is a warning sign for you that right now in the present moment, only your inner truth is the actual truth, and you cannot truly trust anything else, especially information that you receive, and especially, how should I even put this? The role model which other people are in the world. And by other people, here of course I mean people like yourself. Of course I mean people who you look up to, your connections, maybe your friends, your allies, people who you know that are doing the same thing as you in the world. Now, this energy doesn't mean that you cannot trust them. It doesn't mean that they're bad intended, but it means that you have no way of knowing if their sole purpose is the same as yours, just because they're stating this. And when someone asks for your help, when someone asks that you support their realities, well, that should be ringing big alarm bells for you, because you're not asking for anyone's help. You don't need anyone's belief to have your real life. Then why do other people need yours? This is the moment when the universe advises against joining forces with other people, and at very specific, very well determined goals, like for example, are wishing to heal the world in a very specific manner. They want to fight this and that. They need your help to enact, manifest, or conjure up something which should influence reality. Now be very careful who you support. Be very careful who you give your power to, because you have no idea what they are enacting, what their true soul purposes are, and many times those people don't know it themselves. So why would you support something which you don't know what it's going to look like, what it's going to be transformed, manifested in the future? Because very many times, if you don't know what it is, how do you know that your true self is going to agree to that? In a very multidimensional reality, even things which appear negative can be the biggest blessings in your life. Even when something appears to be your enemy, it can also turn into something totally different. So this is the moment when you shouldn't actually support things which do not resonate profoundly with your inner truth, especially if that comes from the internet, if that comes from what other people, and I mean here people like you, are doing. Because, spirituality and all these spiritual currents in the present moment, well, they're also guided by trends. They're also filled with illusions. They're also filled with the inner truth of certain people who just cannot be satisfied by the fact that they have to hold it themselves, so they need the beliefs of others. And one on one hand, this isn't like negative, this isn't bad intent, this is actually good intent, because you need friends, don't you, in order where there are more heads, the intelligence is much greater and the mental power is much greater. So this is like an inner impulse which everyone does when they need more power. But how do you know that you are actually meant to do that? How do you know that their inner truth is actually yours? Just because it is so convincing, just because they're so passionate about it, that shouldn't mean absolutely anything for you, because you kind of know deep within you that this is a time, this is a big karmic moment when everyone has to do their own thing. This is preparing us to step into the Age of Aquarius, isn't it? So the Aquarius has much to do with your individuality, your uniqueness, however you were created, and that includes all your flaws and imperfections and weaknesses, because those sometimes are infinitely greater virtues in the world of matter than the basic virtues, as in, I don't even know, intelligence, compassion, unconditional love, and all of that. So be very, very careful what you give your belief to, because that is your greatest power. For you cannot expect to live in an ideal future if you squander your power and if you use it to create the future which other people, other souls would like to experience, and not you. Because in a multi-dimensional reality, everyone has their will, everyone has what they are chosen, but it all depends on how much power, effort, energy you invested into it. And if you're not investing it into your own, well, then you cannot expect your own reality, your own reward, your own future stability to be as fantastic as for those people who are leeching the beliefs of others to create a certain reality for themselves. Yes, they may absolutely promise you that you'll have a place in it, but how do you know that you will like it? The opportunity is the wheel, and the wheel, especially in this oracle deck, represents the succession of cycles. It represents the infinite, eternal, never ending flow of the universe, the eternal transformation of everything. But ultimately, this flow, the succession of cycles, everything, how the universe functions, is not coincidental. It is based on information. The flow is information. Now, yes, sometimes that information turns into material information, like the quarks and all of that form atomic nuclei, and then those form atoms, and then those form molecules and all of that. But other times that information is perfectly okay just to be ethereal, just to have a certain vibration which our current equipment cannot detect yet. For example, all of the dark matter and dark energy. Or if we want to go into even more controversial fields, well, consciousness can be a flow of information and energy, but which has a certain life to it, which has a divine spark. So either way, everything in the universe is information. So that means you don't actually need that information to be delivered to you on a silver tray from other people, even though we were taught to act like this. We were taught that we need teachers, we were taught that we need guides, but do we actually? Someone who has opened their divine intelligence and can connect to the external divine, well, then that person no longer needs absolutely anything other than to sit down and listen, because information is all around us. It is the universe. It is us also. It is our genes. It is our neurons. It is every single atom in our body. So we are packed with information. Why depend on other people when you can tap into your most authentic source and do the work? And what is this opportunity then? It is exactly that, to use the information that you possess deep inside of you, or at least connect to one of your sources, which has nothing to do with other people. And this isn't selfish. This is what you have to do in the present moment, because this doesn't mean that you're not compassionate and you're not helping and you're not being there for others, but you have to be there in order to support their truth. You don't force your truth down the throats of other people, and that's why you're doing the right kind of work. And you can and have to ultimately expect other people to have the same behavior, where they support your truth, your distinctiveness. It is what they need. They don't need to condition you. For when a guru or spiritualist or any ally does try to condition you, well, then they're in the same boat as the enemies of freedom. Then they are already paving their roads to hell with their good intention, and you don't have to be in the same boat as them. So whenever you're confused, whenever you are not really guided, information is inwards, it's outwards, it is everything in existence on all possible levels. The divine itself is also an information. So you don't lack information. Maybe you lack self-trust, but that is a totally different chapter. Now we finally get to the resolution, which is the lightning, which is the Tower card in classic tarot, which usually has a very negative symbolism. It is upheaval, it is crisis, it is unexpected change, it is natural calamities and disasters. And all of these are part of the future, without a shadow of a doubt, regardless where you dig. May it be your own sources, may it be the visions of others, may it be just thinking logically. All of these are coming, and this isn't apocalyptic, this isn't the end of the world, this isn't anything that much special. It is just Mother Nature sorting herself out. And ultimately, for us, it is just karma, and it is not punishment whatsoever. But we lived careless lives, so how can we expect right now to be prepared? We can't. That's why karma is karma, because we get what we worked for. Whatever we invested effort into, we are already receiving and reaping the harvest of our labors. For example, all the technology, satellites, internet, all of that are absolutely perfect. They're wonderful. They are in our lives and are helping us, and they are such a positive force in the world, aren't they? But at the same time, whatever we sacrificed in order to have the internet, now that is what we lack, and that is why karma is karma, basically. So what I'm trying to say here, yes, the future, a part of it doesn't look that bright. It is calamity, it is disaster, it is nature reconfiguring herself, and then all of us are collateral victims. But be careful not to oppose the disaster, not to oppose the calamity, because what is calamity to a person can be a big blessing and the opportunity of your lifetime for you. So be careful how you shape the future, what you try to stop from entering the world, because what seems very negative and frightening in the present moment might be your celestial mana in the future. So make your choices wisely, make your choices intuitively. And if you desired a massive global change in at least one moment in the past, it doesn't matter if it's the recent past or if it's when you were a child, well, you have your wish right now, and you have to work with what the universe is offering to you, because you were one of those souls who ultimately triggered this future. So you have to be a responsible harvester and work with what you created. And of course, trust that even if it's doom and gloom for some, well, for you it might be the salvation, it might be something that you have been wanting to experience all your life. Is it unfair? Well, life was extremely unfair to you until this present moment. Everyone who had their secure lives filled with prosperity, material goods, friends, they were admired, they lived the nectar of earthly existence basically. Well, no one cared about your suffering, your loneliness, your drama, your pain. Then karma will not allow you to care that much about pain, because if you stop this, then you stop divine justice, and then you are paving a world of unfairness for the future. So you need to accept whatever the flow brings in our lives and not work against it, because in the eyes of the divine, everything has a big reason. Nothing is coincidental, not even the negative things in life, not even the frightening events. For example, a forest fire may seem like a big disaster and drama, but ultimately it might be something that the biosphere, the forest, needs at that moment in order to reconfigure itself, in order to change. So we cannot judge the future, karma, whatever the divine is doing, based on human morality. This is where we have to be wiser, and if we are the magicians, then we have to act as a magician, which is infinitely wise and doesn't judge until it holds the greater truth. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you everyone for your support and your kind comments. I wish everyone a blessed and safe day. Bye for now.